Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks to Timia for inviting me to talk about my experience with the ERC funding and talk about my project. So basically, what I will, considering the time that we have, so what I will propose you to, is to give you a very basic overview about the ERC project that I'm directing right now. Whose name is PALEODEM. You can find more information here in the web page and about everything of the project, of the research team, the different working packages. And also for the second part of my presentation, I will provide you some tips for people who might be interested in applying to the ERC grants. Okay. Um, well, basically, what we are analyzing here in this project is, or the main aim of the PALEODEM project is to reconstruct the population patterns and the cultural transmission processes during the late Glacial and early Holocene in southwestern Europe. This period is of really high scientific interest because the human populations had to face extreme changes in climate and environmental conditions. And yes, can you hear me? So I won't move from here. Okay. And basically, as you can see in this slide, this is the reconstruction of the temperatures for the time period that we are analyzing. And what you can see are really this is a really environmentally dynamic period of time. Okay, with major changes in temperature, in vegetation cover, that was also mediated by crisis, by short climatic crisis. But at the same time, this period of the human prehistory witnessed some of the major transformations in cultural patterns and technology that we have ever documented in the human prehistory. And these changes that we have documented don't follow a simple pattern, don't go from simple to more complex. So we can find here the loss of sophisticated technologies at the end of the Upper Paleolithic, also the spread of technological innovations, and also changes in the graphic traditions. These changes are affecting the way in which people communicate each other, the way in which people transmit their technological knowledge. So, considering this context, so the two main research questions that we have is to what extent hunter-gatherers population levels were affected by climate and environmental change. And secondly, how the spatial structure of human populations affected the cultural transmission processes, the way in which information is transmitted through generations. So what we have proposed in this project is to use a novel and multi-scale and multidisciplinary scientific approach, combining three different analytical scales. First, at micro or at local scale, what we're interested in is to know how the population fluctuations are related with short-term fluctuations in climate, using the human scale, basically by comparing high-resolution paleoecological records with archaeological information from residential campsites. Second, at regional scale, what we are interested is into reconstruct relative population densities and to see the potential relationship with long-term environmental dynamics. And for doing that, we are relying on the statistical analysis of the radiocarbon record as a population proxy. And finally, at micro-regional level, so we pretend to use network analysis and network modeling to analyze the relationship between patterns of connectivity regarding cultural transmission processes. So I don't have too much more time for explaining all the project, okay, and I will skip very soon for the experience regarding the preparation. But I just want to bring your attention in this paper that became published today, 2 days ago. Okay, this is the work that has been done on the second working package, on the reconstruction of population densities at a regional scale. And also because we are in one conference of computer applications and quantitative methods, people who might be interested in this part of the project, in these methodologies, I will strongly recommend to read also the supplementary information of the paper, where you can find all the methods that we have followed, including the data collection and the discussion of the different analytical procedures that we have followed in this case study. So basically in this paper, what we are trying to do is to reconstruct the population levels in the Iberian Peninsula using radiocarbon dates. The reason why we're doing this is because we now have much better methods, statistical methods, to use this proxy in a much more consistent way than we had in the past, 10 years ago. And also because new ancient DNA evidence provides a new context to investigate the relationship between population dynamics at continental scale. But independent proxies are necessary in order to confirm and to contrast these hypotheses. And only the radiocarbon record right now provides the only proxy where we can follow, where we can track changes through time at regional scale with the necessary resolution. And the last reason is because we don't have an holistic view of the demographic changes in this part of Europe using the radiocarbon record. And in fact, most of the previous works that have assessed the reconstruction of population dynamics using radiocarbon data have focused majoritarily in the Mesolithic Neolithic transition. And we don't know very well yet the endogenous processes of demographic growth in hunter-gatherers societies. So this is the methods that we have been using and that we have been applying throughout this working package. So starting for the data collection and the statistical analysis of radiocarbon time series, which entails the database that covers, it's a georeference database that we have compiled throughout the implementation of the action. Right now, this case study comprises a total of 1,198 radiocarbon dates for this time period that comes from the late glacial and the early Holocene. And basically, these are the methods that we have applied, so from the frequency analysis, considering different type of sites, the summer probability distributions, and the bootstrap simulations of the summer probability distributions in order to minimize the effects of the calibration process in the observed patterns, and then trying to compare our results with simulated ensembles of dates that are simulating exponential models of exponential growth. Basically, in the paper, you will find the link to the Zenodo and the GitHub repositories where you can get the data and you can get the scripts if you want to reproduce this with your just by yourself, or if you want to try with another kind of data set. And this is basically the workflow that we have implemented in the analysis of the radiocarbon record in order to get the SPT population proxy. I won't go for time in too much details, but just ask me in the coffee break if you have doubts. And this is what the results looks like basically. So this is the bootstrap simulations on the original SPD. So the black bold line which represents is the median of the confidence interval of the bootstrap simulations, which is considered the population proxy. Here, what you can see is the comparison of our population proxy with a simulated ensemble of radiocarbon dates following a kind of exponential demographic growth. The pink bands, what they represent are the periods in which the population, the estimated population levels are above the exponential null model, whereas the blue lines would represent are the periods of this time series in which the populations are really below of the exponential null model. We did this for the Iberian Peninsula, and we assess also this for each regional subset in order to account for the subregional patterns of variation in the observed trends. One of the main contributions for this paper and for this work is to test different demographic models. Okay, so one thing is just to reconstruct from the empirical data what you have, and another thing, and one step forward is to try to test different models of demographic growth. What you can see, what you can see here in this image are in the black line are the SPD population proxy, and we have fitted here several different models, just from one phase following an exponential demographic growth, another following a logistic growth, the model C, that are two exponential regimes that are separated by a population collapse during the Jagged Dryas. And here below, you can find also one first exponential regime followed by one logistic regime of demographic growth, and these two less models that are following an exponential growth and a stable growth for the second phase and a third exponential growth. And this model what represents an exponential growth and exponential decay towards stabilization, and a third demographic regime of logistic growth. What we have used is an information theoretic-based model selection approach based on bias and information criteria and archaic information criteria in order to test which one of these models fits better with the data that we have. Okay, do you follow me? So am I clear on this? Of course, each one of these models have been discussed, and the biodemographic implications of each one of these models have been discussed previously. So the model selection gives us the highest goodness of fit for this model, okay, which basically is telling us that during the end of the Magdalenian period, the end of the late glacial, the populations were describing an exponential growth with growth rates approximately about the 0.04%. Then during the Younger Dryas, we find an exponential decay towards a limited value, and we find during the Mesolithic period a new demographic regime that is following an logistic demographic growth. I'm gonna start with the second part of my talk regarding my experience with the ERC funding. So for all you guys that might be interested in applying for the ERC, I strongly recommend it to you to do it. From my personal experience, it was a really nice opportunity. So you have nothing to lose for applying to the ERC. But it's really important also that you consider very well and that you think very well about your career stage. Okay. When do you want to apply for an ERC? It is the right moment or not, okay? Depending in your research track and depending in the state in which you are performing your research, okay? And what I see basically is that this was a really nice funding opportunity for my career goals at the moment when I applied. Okay. So how I did it? So Eptimia have done a really nice introduction about how the ERC schemes work. But if you are considering to apply for an ERC grant, if you are considering to prepare your own proposal, I strongly recommend you that you analyze, and I keep saying analyze, previously funded projects or previous ERC funded projects. So what kind of projects were being funded by European Commission? Think about this, and especially avoid to create a project that is mostly based on incremental research. Okay, you have to try to bring something new. And it is really important here that you find a gap in your field, that you find one or two relevant research questions that you want to assess or that you want to address with your proposal. As Eftinia also mentioned before, it is really important that you find big research questions, transversal research questions. In the case of our proposal, the questions were demography and culture as an evolutionary system. Okay, and also I strongly recommend going for hypothesis-driven research questions, because it's the way in which you can really link better the methods that you want to implement during the action with the deep theoretical questions, with the state of the art. And of course, trying to be methodologically innovative. Some suggestions also for future applicants. So if you think that this is your time, do it. Okay, but as I mentioned to you before, thinking about it is your time is difficult, considering the times that you can apply and the time window. So for instance, if you think that you are starting one path that shows that you are the person who can really lead the research that you are proposing, probably you have to consider to create a small data set before, a kind of a small proof of concept about the scientific approach that you want to follow. Okay, and this also is something that you have to balance, that you have to evaluate by yourself. Okay, because at the end the panel is gonna look for that, and it's gonna appreciate if you have, for instance, published one paper that it's part of this seminal work that you want to further develop using the ERC grant. Takes time, as Anne has mentioned, and don't wait for the last moment. Probably it's something that you need time for preparing a proposal and for conceptualizing really well the proposal. Talk with your research center that save you time for doing this, or trying to save time for preparing for the proposal writing. A support team is necessary, okay, but in my personal experience, not too big. Okay, what you must show is the scientific independence. Is not making other people to write different parts of your proposal. You have to have a strict control about what you want to do in your research, because at the end you will have to present or to defend this publicly in the interview if you are selected for the step 2. Think as a referee, so try to identify the flows and the potential flows of your proposal, okay? And also, as Eftinia said, think in terms of balance, and balance the risk and the feasibility and the communication, thinking about one panel that is going to be generalist at the end of the day. The impact of the ERC is really important. That's the reason why I strongly recommend you, because you are not going to find many other places where you can get funding for this kind of bottom-up research. Okay, in Spain, this research would have been impossible with the current financial schemes, and also because it allows you to have a considerable budget in order to hire people. If you are doing sometimes very innovative research that is not very well established in your country, the ERC funding is a really, really nice option to hire people to start your own research team. This is just one of my latest slides. This is in the context of the EIA. So we did a session at the end of the second year of the project where all the team members and the scientific collaborators present papers on the project. And this is really nice also about the ERC. it allows you to set up the scientific agenda regarding your topic. Okay. And well, basically, what I would like to sum up is that the ERC grants have a transformative effect in the career development of the PA and also of the team members. That this research, in my case, would have not been possible without the ERC funding. And the building the research networks and to enhance the scientific impact is really one of the benefits of this funding, and also for applying for future funding schemes. That's all. So thank you very much.